Is it time to reveal your real magic and become seen, known, and valued? Hello, and welcome to today's Visionary Voices Deep Dive. I hope you're having a great week. And today we are talking about being a sacred rebel. And I really want to share some poems with you and some stories and a process about what it is to be a sacred rebel. What is a sacred rebel? And so if you're new to me, just say hi if you're here, if you're watching the replay. If you're new to me, if we haven't met before, hi, I am Reenacht Aiken. I'm a deep dive visibility mentor and poetry alchemist, and I help soulful business owners and creatives to unlock their voice, their message, their authentic and magnetic presence, so that you can share your message and your sacred work in the world and really get yourself out there and shine, but in a way that matches the deep transformational work that you do. So welcome to this session on being a sacred rebel. So this is for you if you're somebody who feels called to make a difference in the world, but when it comes to standing out and actually being different and going against the status quo, what other people are doing, what you see other people in your industry doing, it's like, oh, they're all doing that, can I do this? It can feel a bit scary to go your own way and to follow that still small voice inside you that's maybe guiding you upstream when you see a lot of people swimming downstream. And so this pull to belong is a really core human need. So it can feel very scary and confronting to kind of go, do I trust this little voice, this guidance that I've got to be different, which is what enables me to make my difference? Or, do I just kind of fit in and go along with what I see other people are doing? We all do this. We all, have our growing edge with this as well. But sometimes that sense of not belonging, that sense of the thing that you can see that nobody else can see, means it doesn't mean that you don't belong. It actually means that you're a leader. That you are a visionary leader, even if you don't know it, and that you're here to bring a message that people need to hear. You might be a little bit ahead of your time, you might be a little bit of an innovator, you might just be bringing a little tweak to how it's doing, or you might be birthing whole new ways of doing it. But it is the sacred rebels that evolve our humanity and birth a better future. So if you're here, just type hello in the comments, or replay. If you're watching the replay, I will come back. I love to hear from you and hear all of your comments as well. And I'd love to hear, what does this topic mean to you? What is it that you find challenging about leading a conversation that's not yet mainstream, or bringing something new to the industry that you find you're in? Hi, Rosalie. Yes, this is definitely a topic for you. You've got a lot of sacred rebel in you. So, what's your experience around pushing the boundaries of your industry or speaking out in a way that you don't see other people speaking? So I want to start with a beautiful poem that speaks to this subject today. And I've just completed my magnetic presence program, where we were working with poetry, and 2 of the 11 people on that program were working with this poem. It's a really powerful one, called For the Rebels by Toko Pa Turner. For the rebels and the misfits, the black sheep and the outsiders. For the refugees, the orphans, the scapegoats, and the weirdos. For the uprooted, the abandoned, the shunned and invisible ones. May you recognize with increasing vividness that you know what you know. May you give up your allegiance to self-doubt, meekness, and hesitation. May you be willing to be unlikable and in the process utterly loved. May you be impervious to the wrongful projections of others, and may you deliver your disagreements with precision and grace. May you see with the consummate clarity of nature moving through you that your voice is not only necessary but desperately needed to sing us out of this muddle. May you feel shored up, supported, entwined, and reassured as you offer yourself and your gifts to the world. And may you know for certain that even as you stand by yourself, you are not alone. For the rebels and the misfits, the black sheep and the outsiders, for the refugees, the orphans, the scapegoats, and the weirdos, for the uprooted, the abandoned, the shunned, and invisible ones. May you recognize with increasing vividness that you know what you know. May you give up your allegiances to self-doubt, meekness, and hesitation. May you be willing to be unlikable and in the process be utterly loved. May you be impervious to the wrongful projections of others, and may you deliver your disagreements with precision and grace. May you see with the consummate clarity of nature moving through you that your voice is not only necessary but desperately needed to sing us out of this muddle. May you feel shored up, supported, entwined, and reassured as you offer yourself and your gifts to the world. May you know for certain that even as you stand by yourself, you are not alone. So just, hi Leontine, you found me. And which lines of that really resonate with you? What words or lines really feel like they're speaking to you right now? I'd love to hear from you on this. And one of the things that I want to offer in this, the perspective that I want to offer, that it's actually, these, the weirdos, the rebels, the misfits, the scapegoats, the outsiders, the shunned and invisible ones, and what we often think of in our world as the minorities, even when they're not minorities, like women, for example. But often those that are persecuted, that are blamed, that are shamed, that are excluded, told that they don't belong, suppressed, rejected, misunderstood, painted out of history, censored. These are often the ones, when you look, that evolve our society and our humanity. I really want you to take that in. When you notice, when the world aligns itself with these, what start off as minority voices, and support these rebellious initiatives, that's how society and our humanity evolves. And there's a German philosopher called Arthur Schopenhauer says all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it's ridiculed, then it's violently oppressed, and third, it is accepted as self-evident. So think of some examples, and it might be like women's rights in the early 20th century, late 19th century. That was, they were seen as, inferior and needed to fight for their rights. But as people got behind that, and now it's, first of all, it was ridiculed. What do you mean women voting? They're not citizens. Then there was, violent opposition, and then it's like now it's accepted. Of course, women are equal, and women fighting that right that's what led to the birth of children's rights. Before that, children didn't have rights. They were working, they were climbing up, cleaning chimneys. That idea of children were seen and not heard, and they didn't have any rights. But giving women their rights led to the creation of children's rights. Also the same for the liberation of slaves, and at various stages, when there was emancipation of slaves, and particularly in the American Constitution, those amendments were literally used to increase the human rights for many other groups, including women, including gay people, including immigrants. So when we kind of get behind these persecuted groups, we actually make the world a freer place and a better place. But in the beginning, it's a scary place to be. And we think also of the persecution and the genocide of the Jewish people and other minorities during the Second World War. That led to the Declaration of Human Rights. That led to the Nuremberg Code, which is forbidding medical experiments on people without their informed consent. And again, it was getting behind and standing up for the sacred rebels and the minorities that were persecuted that evolved humanity. And then the fight for civil rights in America in the 60s, led by Martin Luther King and many others, that they led to civil rights for Catholics in Northern Ireland, for example, and many other independence movements around the world, and they opened the doors for so many people. So this is, this is why, you might be a rebel, you might be coming up with something that's different, but this is your difference that you want to make in the world. So just type in the comments what resonates with you there. Leontine is saying, you don't stand alone. Yeah, that last line of the poem, may you know for certain that even as you stand by yourself, you are not alone. And I'm going to come back to this, how we can create that sense of belonging to our own tribe, even as we step into our own unique rebel vision, sacred rebel vision. So one of the things I'd like to just invite you to into a reflection, to connect with, what is this for you? Because when you connect with your passion, your sacred rebel, you align with the transformational energy that wants to come through you and your visionary leader and transformational leader, and it gives you energy. Even though it can feel scary and vulnerable, that passion really draws people to you who resonate with your wisdom and message, and will say, you're speaking what I wanted to hear, but I didn't even know. And it really helps you to align your messaging, your visibility activities, how you communicate with others, with your visionary depths, by following this own voice. So, just reflect for yourself, what is it, what's your soapbox, your passion? What is it that you could talk about for hours that, people that you serve, people in your community are really interested in? And the other, way into this as well is, what do you feel frustrated about? What change would you live to see in the world or in your industry that others are not talking about? Everybody's talking about this, but you're kind of going, actually, what about this? Where is that missing? I remember when I first discovered and really got passionate about poetry, that I was like, why aren't more people talking about transformational poetry? This conversation should be happening. And then eventually I realized I need to start that conversation. So often what it is you're frustrated about is actually you need to be the one to start this conversation. And I know Rosalie, who's here, you started a conversation on, everybody's talking about this morning routine. And I'm not a morning person, that doesn't work for me. How about the evening routine, or just finding another way of doing it? So it was a bit scary to go against the grain and kind of go, morning routine, no, that's not me. Let's find another way of doing it. And you started that conversation, and so many people were getting behind you and resonating, kind of going, yeah, I've been struggling with it, doesn't work for me either. And it's starting that conversation. It's so powerful and so needed. So what is it for you? You know, what is it that you see is missing in the conversation, that you feel frustrated about, that you feel passionate about, that you wish more people were talking about? And what would you love to everyone to see, to know, to feel, to shift into? You know, what is that revolution that you would love to see in the world in whatever small or large way? So just type into the comments there. I would love to hear from you what it is that you would love to bring. And then, you know, the next step then is to reflect on what are the roadblocks, the inner or outer roadblocks that you're likely to come up against as you go to do that. You know, is it posting? Is it fear of what other people think? Is it resistance? Is it lack of self-belief? Is it who am I to lead a conversation about this? You know, who am I to do that? You know, waiting for somebody with more authority to come along. Is it procrastination? It might be, you know, that you need more support with this as well. What is it, you know, visibility blocks or fear? What is it that comes up for you when you think about leading that conversation, or, you know, being that sacred rebel, that visionary leader? So I'd love to hear for you on that. And so the third piece here is about how do you amplify support for your sacred vision? How do you find your tribe, find the others, you know, find a way of belonging here that will support you as you step out to bring your voice into the world, or even to reflect back to you that what you have to say is necessary and desperately needed to sing us out of this muddle. And there's another poem that I want to share here about helping you to find the others. It's called Forget the Old Directions by Janine Marie Haugen. Forget the old directions. There is a wilder place where wanderers, visionaries, tricksters, mad poets and free-voiced people are dreaming together and sorrowing and howling forth a new world. It is not far. There is a faint trail, sniff the air. Listen for grief cries and crazy laughter. Listen for the haunt of calling songs. Watch for feathered offerings and seeds of wild prayers. Everything depends on this. Find the others. The moss, cactus, coyote, and stone will show their true faces when you begin to sing. Forget the old directions. Forget the old directions. There is a wilder place where wanderers, visionaries, tricksters, mad poets, and free-voiced people are dreaming together and sorrowing and howling forth a new world. It is not far. There is a faint trail. Sniff the air. Listen for grief cries and crazy laughter. Listen for the haunt of calling songs. Watch for feathered offerings and seeds of wild prayers. Everything depends on this. Find the others. Everything depends on this. Find the others. The moss, cactus, coyote, and stone will show their true faces when you begin to sing. So this is about, you know, how can you invite people into your world, or how can you find the connection and belonging, which is everything depends on this. Surrounding yourself with peers, with fellow visionaries, with the wild voices. So, and it might be within groups like this, it might be within training programs, it might be within support network or peers, those who get you. And if you have them, create those structures in your life for these conversations, for these reminders, for people who will come along and remind that part of you of the rightness of its vulnerability, and despite the harshness of the world that we live in, despite the hostility that you might see out there in the world, when we find the others, everything becomes possible. So, and if you don't have enough, just set a clear intention to call them into your world, to find the others, to find the tribe, to find the other sacred rebels to play with, to shore you up, entwine, support you, so you don't feel alone. So, I know, just completed the magnetic presence poetry course, and most weeks we had breakout groups and people were just dropped in to have really deep conversations and share their poems. And what I love is the connections that were created there, in that witnessing and being witnessed in your depths, and the conversations that are continuing after the program with those connections, and how people are really igniting each other and shoring each other up and supporting each other. And I know for me, hi Monica, lovely to see you here. So Leontine is saying, all the evidence on today's global issue, it affects me on a very personal level at the moment. It feels unsafe to be the only one at work, as far as I know, to have a different point of view on this topic, let alone share it. Yeah, I hear you, Leontine, I hear you. It's a huge one at the moment, and it is very vulnerable. And it might be that in that context it's not possible, or it might be that in time you will find the others, because others also are afraid to speak about it. But you can find the others in other contexts as well. So if there are people in your family or in your workplace you don't want to speak it, there might be other communities who you can speak to about it. I know for me, I've got a weekly spiritual circle where we talk about this kind of stuff and really hold high energy. We hold space for the struggles that are coming up, and we hold space for bringing transformation to the world as well as ourselves. And it's incredible, the support. I've also got weekly meetings with business buddies and the training program that I'm in, and coaching support. And I've had masterminds and coaching every time I go to up level. I've got monthly coaches groups where we're supporting each other with business and life, and a women's circle every couple of months where we just hold space for the group. So it's so beautiful. Yes, so you're saying yes, you do have people surround you who feel the same. That's a great support. Exactly, that's exactly what we need, and to coming back to that, when you need it, and also to know that it's okay to be a sacred rebel. It's okay to be ahead of your time in some respects, to be holding that truth, and to accept yourself, and to find the others in the places where you can find them. So that's all I've got to offer on this topic today. So I'd love to hear what you're taking away from this today. What is your passion or frustration or conversation that you would love to lead in the world, and how can you find the others to support you, to hold the energy for that? Because sometimes it's about speaking it out loud, and sometimes it's about holding space. It's the other thing to say. Sometimes it's just about holding space for that vision and that possibility, and being ready to speak about it when the energy opens up. And sometimes it is about absolutely leading the conversation, and the energy will support that when the time is there. You will know, you'll get that push, get that nudge. So that's all. If you want any support with any of this, with getting your Sacred Rebel message out there and taking the next steps, just reach out to me. We can have a chat. I've got a few slots opening up, and Leontine said, yeah, growing into this slowly. Yeah, beautiful, Leontine. So great. So next week we've got the beautiful Lynn Horde joining us. We're going to be talking about powering up your messaging, and let me know what other topics you would love to see as we kick back into the autumn round of these Visionary Voices deep dives. I hope you've had a good summer, and I hope to see you again soon.